Well, from next Tuesday, the sick note will become a fit note. Instead of signing people off on the sick, anyone with long-term illnesses will be encouraged to go back to work. Bed Shore has more.
Most people will have taken time off for sickness at some point in their lives, but the government's concerned that when people are given a sick note by the doctor, it can often spell the end of their working lives.
It's a very good idea to have a fit note rather than a sick note. Our present system tells you what you can't do. There's no possibility in the present note to say what you could do. And so I think it's a big change in culture. It's a change in the way we view our ability to work. And we know that work, on the whole, is really good for health.
So, from next Tuesday, when you come to a room like this to be signed off from work, things are going to change. Instead of a sick note, you're going to get one of these, a fitness for work note. Now, you apply for one of these after 7 days of illness, because after 7 days, you need to prove that you're ill in order to get statutory sick pay. So you go to your doctor and they can still sign you off as unfit for work. That option still exists. But there's another option which says that you may be fit for work if you get certain kinds of help from your employer. Some of the ways that the employer can help the employee include a phased return to work, or a change in the hours that the employee has to work, a change in the actual job that they're doing, or by the employer providing different equipment for employees. This is known as adaptation. But exactly who is this aimed at?
There's extremely good evidence that the two big common groups of symptoms or conditions that prevent you from working are mild musculoskeletal problems and mild anxiety, stress and depression. This is not about those serious diseases, for example, cancer, for example, coronary artery disease.
The government's hoping the Fit Note will save £240 million over the next 10 years, but billions are lost annually in sickness. So it may only be a small contribution to the nation's financial health.
Well, Andrea Nichols is an employment lawyer and joins us now. Andrea, how much of a difference do you think this change in the notes is going to make?
Well, the study that took place before the Fit Notes came in, so that about 20% of doctors were actually signing patients back to work on a gradual basis. As an employment lawyer, I have to say that my concern about the Fit Notes is it's more likely to lead to a lot of disputes between the employer and the employee, and possibly conflict between the GP and the employee.
And how do you think that conflict is going to be resolved?
Well, within the regulations, there's actually no assistance at all. So I think that the problem is that employers, if they're faced with an employee who says, well, I'm not fit to come back to work, at the moment just have to stand off and let that be. But if the employee says, well, I can come back to work, and sets out quite stringent rules on how changes that would have to take place, and the employer says, well, hold on, you know, we can't actually adapt the workplace or the arrangements to that, then that's where the problem is going to happen. Now, under the rules, the employer actually has the right just to say, well, I'm sorry, you can't come back to work, and the Fit Note, even though the box is ticked saying they can come back to work, will actually just now be regarded as a sick note.
Well, it just makes a whole nonsense of it, doesn't it? If the employee and the doctor are both saying, I can't come back to work, I can't do this, you'd think the employer would be willing to accept them back. And
in most cases, I'm sure that will be the case. But if the doctor or the employee has put quite sort of stringent rules on how they're coming back to work, whether it's the hours or changing workplace or changing duties, and the employer turns around and says, well, we can't accommodate that, then that's why I can see there's going to be a conflict.
Do you think then there needs to be extra funding to help employers fund changes to workstations or work patterns if that's what employees need?
Well, certainly at the moment there's no suggestion that there's going to be any additional funding. Under what's called the Disability Discrimination Act, if someone is off sick and they have to have changes to the workplace, then there are some government sort of funding available. But this is more short term. I'm not sure really that it's going to be of assistance here.
OK, some scepticism there then. Andrea, thank you very much for joining us.
No, I suppose there may be